Hello again, everybody. Welcome inside the official Colts podcast on YouTube and the Colts Audio Network. Thanks for joining along. We're back for round 2 this week. You got the Thursday crew here with Casey Vallier, Bill Brooks, Ring of Honor wide receiver. I'm Matt Taylor. Fellas, we don't have the 0-2 attitude or the 0-2 energy today. We are bringing the noise, getting you ready for Colts and Bears in week number 3 as the Colts return home back to Lucas Oil Stadium for the first of 2 back-to-back home games for Indianapolis. Billy B, you all set, man? I mean, have you gotten the scope out? Have you rinsed out your mouth? Have you gotten rid of that bad taste in Green Bay?
Yeah, it's time to move on. You know what happened in the past.
Good Tom Petty song, by the way, too.
Pardon me?
Move on. Yeah.
I didn't hear you. What'd you say?
Tom Petty song, Time to Move On. Really good.
Matt Taylor and a Tom Petty reference.
Yes.
Shocker.
Yeah, it's time to move on. What happened in the past, it happened in the past. Right now, it's all about the Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
Getting ready for Chicago Bears, playing against Chicago Bears here at home at Lucas Oil Stadium. What a better time to turn it around than now.
Absolutely.
At Lucas Oil Stadium.
Absolutely. And Casey, we've been asking guys inside the locker room this week how they are balancing the urgency of 0-2. I thought Shane Steichen had a really nice comment the other day. It's like, yeah, we've dropped the first 2 games, but if we lose 2 in a row in week 7, week 8, I don't think everybody's freaking out nearly as much as they are then potentially as they are now, just because we've had to wait 9 months for a new season to get here, then you lose the first 2. But always interesting to hear guys talk about the balance of the urgency of not going down 0-3, but also knowing in the grand scheme the perspective of the season, you still got about 90% of the season still left to play here.
Absolutely. I mean, 15 more games if you include this weekend. And also, I think when the schedule came out and you saw Houston, Green Bay, those are 2 teams that were in the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
So you knew those were going to be competitive football games. Now, I know Jordan Love being out, that kind of throws a little wrinkle into the Packers thing, but ultimately, this is one of the things we had talked about when that schedule came out is you start off with 2 really good opponents. So nothing changes. When you look at it, they're one-possession games. That seems to be the mantra of the NFL. So Ultimately, a couple plays go one way or another, and the whole thing is different. I think the guys are viewing it definitely like, you know what, yeah, kind of like what Shane said. We lose 2 games in the middle of the season. You just look at it as, okay, you lost a couple. It's time to get back on the horse. So I think ultimately when you look at the win column and it's 0, that's probably why. That's why all of this is so much in the forefront. But definitely a big opportunity with back-to-back home games.
Yeah, got a lot to clean up. You have to course-correct the season. We'll talk about the offense not being able to stay on the field, the defense not being able to get off the field, and the rushing total just way too high. And there's been a lot of conclusions or statements already made about the Colts around town at other places of business, the water cooler conversation, that you hear about the Colts. So we're going to talk about those things and debate how true they are on a segment called Are You In or Are You Out on some of those, big conclusions that have already been made about the Colts, from a cliche standpoint through the first 2 games. Also, we're going to talk about those 1-1 Chicago Bears. They're led by a rookie quarterback in Caleb Williams. They've got a really sluggish offense. They've only put up about 350 yards of offense through the first 2 games, not scoring a lot of points. In fact, they only have 1 offensive touchdown at this point in the season. So we'll talk about all of that. Also, how about this? The Colts are expanding their marketing territories, not just here in Colts country, here in the Midwest and all around central Indiana, but they are going international, all right? The Colts are really branding Europe in Germany and Austria. And a big part of that is linking up with former Colts defensive end Björn Werner. So Bjoern is actually here. He's in Indianapolis. He's in the building. So we're going to have a conversation with Bjoern coming up a little bit later in the podcast. He's going to be on the call on Sunday for a German television network that's calling the game. It's the first time a German TV network has actually produced a game live on site at an NFL stadium here in the United States. And they've picked Colts and Bears primarily because of Björn Werner, who is like the Pat McAfee, John Madden, Troy Aikman. He's all of those people as it relates to being able to speak authoritatively about American football overseas in Europe. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's real cool for him to really bring American football to Germany so they can understand it and grow the game, of course.
And it's laid back, right? It's fun. It's entertaining the way he presents the game to a lot of people.
And that's the way it should be, because that's how I look at the game of football. It's fun. Yes, it's a competitive. It's hard.
Right.
It's difficult to play at times, but it's a fun game. It's an enjoyable game, and that's what you want to think about when you're watching football, something that's fun and enjoyable. And I'm sure he does a great job with it.
He does. You just have to learn German to understand it.
Believe me, I wouldn't understand it, definitely.
Matt, I know you can help us in that category.
I did. I took 4 years of German.
Yes.
Yeah. Spielst du gern Björn Werner? Yeah, was magst du gern in deiner Freizeit, which means what does he do in his free time? We're going to find out coming up here on the podcast with Björn Werner. Hey, don't challenge me. All right?
I'm not.
If I got lost over there, I could get around.
It was not a challenge.
I could
it was
get
more
around.
you proving that you've got
we
a little
know
bit of
you know
German.
German. Believe me, we know that.
Yeah. Don't try to pigeonhole me. You cannot put me in a box because I will fight my way out of it. All right?
No.
All right, so we have a lot to get into today. Bill, for you, again, the 0-2 start for the Colts. For you, what's been, for lack of a better term, the hardest pill to swallow about the way the Colts have started the season?
I think with a lot of people, it's been the run defense. I just have a hard time just understanding how the Colts can come out this year, especially when you bring the majority of your core people back on defense. They've been in the system for a while. You have some guys that are reliable, that are good, that make big plays. And then to start off the way you have in these first two games, not being able to stop the run, letting teams run all over you, so to speak, it's been hard to understand, hard to fathom, and it's difficult. And hopefully, they can turn it around. But for these first two games, I would say just the run defense not being able to stop anyone. And it's really put the team in a bad hole as far as during the game.
Yeah.
And, time of possession, stuff we'll talk about later. But it's that's the one thing that I'm having difficulty wrapping my head around.
And for you, Case.
Yeah, I mean, run defense is definitely one of them. I think for me, it is – time of possession, it's so broad because there's so many things that go into it. I mean, run defense, just defense in general goes into it. The offense not being able to stay on the field. That's been for me. I mean, I think I mentioned it last week. I don't remember seeing a time where a team had 40 minutes of time of possession against the Colts. And then last week, they had even more in the Packers than what Houston did in week one. So that's been my biggest thing is just the inability to sustain drives. You have the big playability. We saw that in week one, and that is going to be part of it. And that is going to, impact the time of possession, because if you score a touchdown in 3 plays, that's okay, though, because you get the end result. But when you look at it, you're 0-2, you're struggling to sustain drives. That's where my biggest thing is the offense is not able to, when they do have the football, sustain long drives to keep the defense fresh, and the defense, in turn, is not getting off on those key downs. Your third downs, we're allowing second and third and manageable. I think those are my biggest things that I'm shocked through 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's well said right there. First and second down, killing the Colts on defense, to not be able to be in a position to get the opposition into third and long. And I love what Rick Venturi has said, and then Kenny Moore. I don't know if those two guys talk to each other here this week. All kidding aside, I mean, it's an old football line, but you've got to earn the right to rush the passer. And when you're not getting into third and long or second and long, it's going to be a long day, which it was for the Colts, obviously, in that first half in Green Bay, giving up 237 yards. And, just to tell a story from the radio booth, I mean, Rick, obviously, he's an old school guy, right? So during the game doesn't have a whole lot of technology in front of him. So at halftime, he's always peppering me for the stats, give me the time of possession, give me the passing, give me the, everything. And I get to the rushing defense allowed, and I said 237. And he goes, no, for the half. I go, 237.
Yeah.
And, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? What are we doing? It's like, yeah, it was that bad for 30 minutes of that game. I guess the Colts did find a little bit of a launching pad in that second half where they gave up only 24 yards past halftime rushing, but the damage had already been done to that point.
Too late right at that point.
All right, we're jumping to conclusions here now, because people love to jump to conclusions before they have all the facts, or in this case, really we're well before the halfway point of the NFL regular season. So again, the Colts are 0-2, but 88% of the season is still left to play. So I'm going to give you guys some statements that we're probably hearing all over town, around the water cooler, and let's debate how valid they are based on how you guys see it so far for the Colts through 2 games. So here's one that I'm sure is being talked about around town. The, quote, old reliables for the Colts, they haven't shown up yet. Are you guys in or out on that? And by the old reliables, you mean the veteran players or the things about this team that are supposed to be staples, the running game with Jonathan Taylor, the offensive line protecting, the veteran receivers catching the ball and making plays. Are you in or are you out on that statement
On
so
this
far?
one, I am in on this statement.
Okay.
And in regards to, I don't think they have shown up. You have certain players dropping balls out there that, you kind of count on them to catch the ball and make some yards after the catch. And also some guys on defense, setting the edge. The guys up front, setting the edge and tackling.
Yeah.
Missed tackles out there in the football field. You expect these guys to step up, especially veterans, to help the young guys along, to show the young guys how to play the game and what to expect in each game. And right now, the veterans, the old reliable, so to speak, have not stepped up yet. And I think that's a key word, yet.
Yeah.
And I think they will step up. I think those guys have a lot of pride in what they do out there in the football field and how they play, and they want to put a good performance out there in the football field, not just for the fans, but for themselves and their teammates. So I think those guys will step up. I think those guys are, their pride's hurt a little bit going into this game against the Chicago Bears, and they need to step up, because if they don't step up, it could be a very long season.
No doubt about it. And I think Bill's spot on, Casey. I mean, you look at, some drop passes. It's not just all Anthony Richardson in terms of being able to stay on the field. I know the completion percentage is down and the interceptions are up, but I think Bill is right. Other guys, the reason why the Colts lost to the Packers, isn't just because of the defense and the quarterback play. Other guys have to help the quarterback along, especially when you're talking about a guy on Sunday that's still only making his 7th start in the NFL.
No, absolutely. I think I'm spot on. I'm buying this as well, because ultimately you think about the old reliables and whether that be, Kenny Moore or, Zaire Franklin or Michael Pittman. They've all had games where I'm sure you talk to them in the locker room and they'll be the first to tell you, I need to play better.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that you kind of go into, you count on and expect them to be at that part in their game where they're already at a high level and it makes everybody else play at a higher level. And you think about the youth and all of that kind of full encompassing is part of the reason what we're in this spot. I think if you get more reliable play from those old reliables, I think that brings everybody's play up, and no longer are you kind of in that, well, we don't really know how to win because we haven't been in that situation. You're more comfortable. So I think that is a big thing. And I'm with Bill. Yet you haven't seen it, but I have a feeling about Sunday that you're going to see a little difference from guys like Michael Pittman. Like, he hasn't had his impact yet. I think you're going to start to see the reason that this team targeted and give an extension to a guy like a Michael Pittman and a Zaire Franklin and those kinds of guys.
They need those things to show up.
Yep.
All right, let's go to our next jumping to conclusion here. The Colts are going to have to simply outscore the opposition this season in a shootout form to win games. And this is more in line, not specifically in discussion points for the offense, but more of the defense, because through 2 games, the Colts are last against the run. They've allowed over 470 rushing yards. They're second to last in completion percentage allowed, second to last in total yards allowed, and last in minutes played on defense, or the most minutes played on defense, having to be on the field for 80-plus minutes so far through the first 2 games, and they rank 26th in red zone defense. So are you in or out on the offense having to overcome all of that for the remainder of the season, as a lot of people have made some sweeping statements about the Colts, some generalities through 2 games on how it's going to be the rest of the year?
I'm out on this one.
All right.
I don't think that's going to happen. I think, first of all, it would be very difficult for any team in the National Football League to just say, okay, we're going to outscore everyone and we're going to do that. It's very difficult to do that in the National Football League. You're going to get some games where, it's going to be back and forth, up and down the field, scoring a lot of points. And you try to outscore some team. You might win the game 35, 33, 38, 35, something like that. But in order for this team to be good and to get to where they want to get, the defense is going to have to step up. They're going to have to step up, and I think they will step up. And they're going to have to play a game where they're going to have to hold teams down. And maybe offense might be struggling a little bit. If they're struggling a little bit, that's what you want. You want your defense to say, hey, look, we got this game under control. We're going to hold this team down. When you guys get together before the end of the game, score some points, then we'll be okay. So I think the defense is going to have to step up and make some plays and hold these teams down so they're not having a ball for 40 minutes and where they can make these big plays and just wear out our defense and give the ball back to the offense, create some turnovers on defense, get the ball so they can get the ball back to the offense. And then, it might be some close games. I picture most of the games in the National Football League to be close games, as Casey has alluded to, one-possession games. And to me, those are close games. So I think the defense is going to have to step up, and I don't think the Colts or any team was going to have to score a whole bunch of points to win a lot of games. It'll be nice to have a lot of points, but I just think defense has to step up and hold teams down.
And Casey, even without DeForest Buckner, who knows, maybe Julian Blackmon is back this week. He practiced on Wednesday. That was a really good sign. I know you're down Juju Brents. You're kind of thin in the secondary. You're kind of piecing it together at this point. But I said it all off season. There is just too much talent individually on that defense to be giving up 30-plus points per game. And I know it was only 16 in Green Bay, but it obviously felt like way more because of the rushing total you allowed in the first half. I still think there's just too much pride on that defense. Guys have to figure that out, and I think they will starting on Sunday. So I'm out on that statement.
I'm right with you. I'm out because I'm. It's one of those things where we talked about this front all off season. I mean, I think the number at one point was they have 7 first or second round draft picks on that front, and guys that are not included in that. I know we lost Samson Ebicom for the year. He was one of those. Grover Stewart was not one of the, like, those are 2 guys that were not in that 7. So you think about the amount of investment of first and second round picks on. There is so much talent.
But it's time to go, though.
It's time to go. Absolutely, absolutely. It's
no,
time
in all
to go.
seriousness, you can't be finishing 26th in points allowed.
Not at all.
There's too much talent on that side of the ball. There just is.
And I'm with you. I think it is going to change. I really think you're going to see the pass rush that we envisioned start to really come to fruition. You're going to see, once they can get the run game handled, I think it all goes in play, with Kenny Moore and Rick's comments about you have to earn the right to rush the passer. I think all of that is going to start coming to a head, and it helps. It's like a oiled machine. When one thing's helping, it makes everything else run smoothly. I think, therefore, you're going to see those defensive numbers come down. You're going to see all of that in cohesion. It's just you've got to start. It starts up front, and it starts with, you got those guys, and then guys like Zaire and EJ, they have a higher standard they want to play to. Once all of that comes to fruition, which I envision starting on Sunday, I think it's all going to be a really positive moving forward.
All right, on Tuesday morning, I was at the accounting firm down the street, and I heard some guy at the water cooler say, hey, this offense for the Colts, it's just going to be boom or bust all season long. We just got to get used to it. It's going to be boom or bust all season long. Strap in with Anthony Richardson. There's going to be big plays, and there's just going to be too many 3-and-outs. So where are you on that statement, Casey? Are you in or are you out right there? Because the Colts offense has had 8 possessions so far this season where they've had the ball for less than 2 minutes. Is this what we're going to expect, or is this what we're going to see all season long from the Colts offense?
I'm out on that. I think one of the things that I talked about earlier, you haven't seen Michael Pittman Jr. really been highlighted in this offense. You're going to get Josh Downs back. I think what those guys are going to do, Josh Downs might be one of the best players in that locker room, that when it's 3rd and 5, he's going to get you a first down. I think part of that is right now your boom has been seen with your Alec Pierce big plays and all of that, but I don't think you've seen that incorporation into what Pittman and Downs are going to do to this offense. And then also you saw a glimpse of what Jonathan Taylor in this run game can really do. But I think because of what the score was at the time, you had to go away from the run. I think you're going to see a lot more complimentary football.
Yeah.
And so therefore I don't think it's going to be quite boom or bust. But I do think on top of that, I think you're going to see a lot more big plays than what you have in recent history, which is not a bad thing. I think you want explosives, you want all of that. But I do think it's going to be a little bit more, less of the massive plays in 3-and-outs and more right in the middle.
Yeah, I'm with Casey on this. I think you'll see some more consistency from the offense to sustain some drives and make some plays. It's great to have those big plays, and they help the team out a lot, give the guys energy, give the fans energy, especially at home. But I think you need plays where you're going to have to get, maybe 12 yards for a first down, or get 8 yards for a first down, hit Pittman over the middle. And I think as you talked about getting Pittman more involved and things like that, the tight ends. I know the tight ends haven't been involved as much.
3 catches.
Yeah, they haven't been involved as much. Mm-hmm. I think you're going to see the coaches start saying, okay, we have to get everybody involved. Yeah. Let's spread the ball around, get the ball to some of these guys, and just play good Colts football, which will eventually come to, okay, it's 2nd and 8 or it's 3rd and 7, and we get a first down. Okay, eat some clock up, move the ball down the field, and be more consistent. And I think once you see that, I think the coaches will make a good game plan, get those guys involved, get the ball down the field, eat up some clock, help your defense out, and as you said, play complementary football. You're going down on a nice long drive, scoring points. The defense is stopping them, getting a turnover, or those guys getting off the field and getting the ball back to the offense. I think you're going to see that, and that will help this team out tremendously moving forward.
Yeah, we'll talk about the Chicago Bears on defense, but out of the 4 units, offense and defense for both teams going into this game, the closest thing to an elite unit so far through 2 games is the Chicago defense. So it's going to be a good test for the Colts offensively with Anthony Richardson.
They ate the 85 Bears.
That's right.
But
they're good. They're pretty good, but not the 85 Bears. No.
Where's Butkus when you need it? All right. So we'll talk about that as we wrap up. But that's the Colts offense looking to take off and find their footing. The Colts are taking off, and they've definitely found their footing from a branding standpoint and from a marketing perspective internationally. Again, taking off in Europe, getting more and more NFL fans, specifically Colts fans, and Germany and Austria as the Colts played overseas last year in Frankfurt. It was a tremendous experience. And again, Björn Werner, former Colts linebacker and the co-founder of the German media company Bromance Sports, he's now the official Colts Ambassador in Germany and Austria. Again, he's here. He's in Indianapolis, and he's going to be on the call for a German sports network, and they are broadcasting their first ever game on site and on American soil in the United States. Colts and Bears coming up on Sunday, and earlier today we had a chance to visit with Bjoern about the excitement of taking the Colts more globally. Well, the NFL game continues to spread its wings internationally, and one of the biggest ambassadors for the Colts brand around the world is former Colts defensive end Björn Werner, who is with us right now. Bjoern, it is fantastic to see your smiling face again, man. How are you?
I'm great. It's surreal to be back. After 7 years.
Yeah.
First time back in Indianapolis. I'm pretty excited to be here. Excited to be in this new role, not as a player, as an ambassador.
Right.
So it's a lot of fun so far.
That's just it right there. So we're going to take all of this one at a time because you have a lot of irons in the fire here. So you are the co-founder of the German media company Bromance Sports, and now you're serving as the Colts official ambassador in Germany and Austria as the Colts look to expand their footprint around the world and certainly in Europe as well. How excited are you for this role? When the Colts came to you asking for your input and your chance to jump at this opportunity, what immediately drew you to it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a long story. Where do I start right now? It started when you guys came last year to Frankfurt, right? I was excited that the Indianapolis Colts plays, in Germany, my home country. And since I left kind of Indianapolis, I was briefly in the offseason with the Jacksonville Jaguars. I knew, okay, I'm going to be done. I moved back really quickly to be back with the family.
Yeah.
And then I kind of got into the TV stuff, like the Americans do it over here. The game was growing back home, and I was one of a few former NFL players or active players that I kind of said, hey, let me try this out. Let me be part of the movement of the NFL growing in Germany.
Right.
And I kind of established myself over the last few years. So I always kind of explain it to people, like Pat McAfee, what he has done here on the American side. I kind of took the same role on the German side, just spreading the game, but not in always being serious, just having fun with it,
right.
Trying to get as many soccer fans or football fans, over to American football.
Yeah.
And it's been a blast. It's a blessing. I kind of lived the dream after the dream. My dream was to play in the NFL. Check. And then it was like, man, now I can work in Germany, talking about American football, making money. Amazing. And then you guys came over, as soon as you guys had the announcement that you guys come over to Frankfurt, my partner Patrick and I started the Football Bromance Podcast. We started just having an American Football Podcast.
Right.
And it's like for the 6th year in a row, it's the biggest sports podcast in Germany. And from there we started the Bromance Sports LLC to kind of get more into the whole digital space and everything. So kind of grew everything so fast. And what we have done, the first year was 2 years ago when the game was played in Munich.
Yep.
When Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Seahawks played in Munich, we said we should do something in that city, like a fan event. So we hosted the Bromania. This is what we. Well, you were there, right?
I didn't go.
You didn't go.
There was a conflict with schedules. But
right.
I saw all the pictures. I saw all the videos.
We did Romania 1 out in front of like 5,000 people. So we filled an arena, just 2 clowns talking about football. And it was amazing, And then we had a lot of NFL Network people there. So the NFL kind of started talking about this too. And then Romania 2 was in Frankfurt the weekend when
sounds
you
like
guys played.
WrestleMania.
This is where we took it from, right? Romania, WrestleMania. That's how smart we are, right? We connected that. No, and then I said, man, the Colts are coming. So I hit up Matt Conti, which obviously I still know over the years. And once in a while, I kind of just checked in with him. And obviously, you guys have Marcel Dabo here. We are close to Marcel Dabo as well on the practice squad, the international flavor, and Bernhard Reimann. So we asked, hey, can you guys be part of the Romania too? And I feel like the people will be excited to have you guys there. So it was a smaller venue, 3,000 people. We sold it out in 12 hours. And then the Colts were part of it. And that kind of kickstarted this whole, coming back into this relationship, on the business side, on the content side, on the ambassador side. And then the Colts kind of just reached out. When did they reach out? At the beginning of the year, Stephanie and Roger from the marketing reached out and they said, hey, can we talk? I said, okay, well, all right.
Am I in trouble?
I was like, interesting. I think Matt Conti kind of, started it. And then we had this call and they told me about it, how they gonna, after Romania this weekend in Frankfurt, are applying to be one of the German market teams, one of 10 now.
Yeah.
And they said they would love to talk to me and see if I can be a global ambassador for them. I was like, playing for you guys back in the day changed my life. My career wasn't the career I was hoping for. The Colts didn't hope for, and the fans. Everybody was hoping, and me too, that I played 10 years and have a career like Robert Mathis and stuff like that. But it didn't work out like that. But just the circle of life. 7 years later now, I'm here. I thought I'm gonna come back probably in 10 years when I have to show my girls who were born here in Carmel, Indiana, that I'm going to show them their home,
Sure.
So, but now I'm back here as a global ambassador, so it's pretty surreal, pretty cool.
No doubt about it. This is a very, ground floor question, and I apologize. I'm sure you get this all the time, but can you pinpoint why NFL football has become so much more popular in Europe?
It's different from the soccer world because soccer, you play literally 11 months out of the year, and in the German TV stations, it was 8 years with Pro7, and now it's switched to RTL, like a bigger TV station.
Yeah.
And the people who are on air, we just found a way to kind of have a fun way of teaching the game, right? Because we are not talking to people who have been watching the NFL or American football for the last 30 years. They don't grow up with it.
Generations, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we touch people, like going on TV and kind of like just pressing through and seeing, and hopefully they catch us for like a minute.
Yeah.
And that's the minute where we have to catch them, have energy,
Yes.
It's Sunday night, obviously, in Germany. It's a 6 hours difference, 6 hour difference. And we show 2 games a week, one in the 1 p.m. slot and one in the later slot. And I feel like the big thing is the entertainment around it. It's sports entertainment. This is not just sports. The NFL writes stories. We have 32 teams, and every team has so many storylines, and you don't even know sometimes how to talk about all of them. And this makes it exciting. I feel like people, it's never going to touch soccer, in Germany. But we are very close to being the second, biggest sport, in Germany on TV. And just having it 6 months out of the year, people wait for it. The anxiety is like, yes, I hope the NFL.
It's an event,
just like here, right? Just like here, building it up with the draft and everything. So I feel like it was just the perfect timing, something new. People are used to the whole soccer world. Everybody kind of, and the soccer world is kind of killing themselves a little bit because they want to make more money by creating more tournaments. So the tradition kind of gets
watered down.
It waters down, right? And the NFL is the NFL, right?
Yeah.
We added a game over the years. Okay, that's one game, but at the end of the day, it's the same competition. It's one league. Nobody can like relegate to another league.
Yeah.
The draft system and the salary cap keeps it equal, you know.
Yeah.
And this is all stuff that the soccer world doesn't have over there in Europe.
All right, as you said, you're drawing a lot of inspiration from Pat McAfee. The way I describe you over here, in terms of your popularity over there, you're the Pat McAfee, the Chris Collinsworth, the Troy Aikman, the Kirk Herbstreit, all in one as it relates to German translation for analysis with American football. But again, as you said, you're serving as the color analyst this weekend for Colts and Bears on RTL TV in Germany. RTL is the German NFL rights holder. And this game on Sunday, Colts and Bears, it's going to be the first time you've got an entire crew on site in America, in the United States, producing on site an NFL game. How did this come about, and how did you guys pick Colts and Bears for the first one?
So obviously, I work as an analyst for the TV station, so I don't work for the TV station during the week.
Right.
I'm going to show up, just like the Tony Romo, the Tom Brady, and Greg Olsen. They just show up on the weekends, And obviously, when we talked about being the global ambassador, they asked me what is one thing to be different, right? And then I was like, oh, man, we need to figure out how we can maybe show a game eventually out of Indianapolis to kind of open the doors for the TV station and get pictures that other teams didn't do yet, you know?
Right.
And guess what happened? So I connected them with RTL right away, and RTL was like, whoa, the Colts are very welcoming. They're very come over, we show you everything. So they did a trip in the summer to come over here, and the Colts delivered. They rolled out the red carpet, and I was like, nice. This is, for me, it was like, I'm just hoping this is going to happen.
Yeah.
But I just connected those two words right there, and RTL said, man, this is a cool story. Bjoern being back for the first time.
Yeah.
He can do the game from there, and the Colts obviously rolling out the red carpet and making it easy for them to produce from over here, right? Because every time a TV station, like you can imagine, being in a different country, going somewhere, like there's always struggles with how much support are they really getting, and the Colts are giving all the support in the world, and that makes it easy for RTL to kind of pick this game over some of the other teams who are pitched in,
Right.
So they just won it, They won the battle of having this game, So, and I'm excited, I was flown over here, I could chill 6 days in Indianapolis, do a game out of the stadium, because usually in Germany what we do, I live in Berlin, I fly to Cologne, this is where the TV stations are. And then I kind of watch it in a nice studio. We have a nice studio, but I watch it on the screen too, right?
Yeah, you're doing remote broadcast.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, remote broadcast. So every time you have a chance to be in a stadium, it's 100 times cooler to have this atmosphere, to be all in, to watch the game differently, because obviously former players kind of watch it differently. You watch the whole coaching view already, you know, like you see stuff happening just out of the side of your eye on maybe in the backfield already, so on the screen I just get the camera angles
that was the hardest part for me during COVID, just only being able to watch what they're showing you instead of being able to see everything in the stadium with your own eyes.
Exactly. So I'm excited. So usually we do the London games, we do the Super Bowl in the stadium, and we do the German games, but now hopefully we do that more often, come over here during the regular season, because those are the memories that we make. I don't know how long I'm going to do this, you always, like in NFL, it's the same way in the media business.
Not for long.
Not for long. You don't know when your window closes, even as players you think, I'm going to play 10 years in the league, boom, 3 years. The body is done, you get cut. And I said, oh, whoa, I'm like 25 now. Yeah. What am I doing with my life? And it's the same thing in the media business, I feel like, or the entertainment business in general. Like, you don't know how long this is going to last, so I'm going to enjoy it, have a family of 4 kids. It's a great balance right now. I'm just enjoying life.
Yeah,
Like,
you can tell it in your face, and
I'm
your smile
excited.
right there. So Sunday will be your first chance to come back for a game at Lucas Oil Stadium since you guys played here in 2015.
And we have to win. We have to win. We have to go 1-2. I wish we at least 1-1, but hey, this is the first time back in Lucas Oil. I was yesterday. We went straight from the airport to the stadium one time, and it's a feeling I can't describe right now. There's so many emotions in me, and I can't even express them. It's kind of I don't know how I explain it. So much has happened here. It was such a emotional roller coaster. Being an NFL player, being a first round pick, being done after 3 years, and having my kids being born here, my first 2 out of 4. It's a lot, and I feel like I'm still processing it. And I feel like probably when I'm back next week at home, then I have time to kind of process.
Did the city look different to you, or?
I mean, what are they building a new hospital there?
They are. Yes.
So this is what I just saw. It was
downtown.
Like this huge building. Yeah. So I didn't see what I want to check out. I didn't have a chance yet. I want to go to Carmel downtown. This is where I spend a lot of time with my wife, living on Carmel. So I heard from Marcel. They just been growing, big time. So I'm excited to kind of get around, besides doing the content, but the good thing I can combine the content with the sightseeing right now. So I'm excited.
Yeah, in the complex, I'm sure it looks a little bit.
I had no idea right now where Ben, the director of international, me was like, where are we walking? Like, because he's new to it.
Like, going, man.
Where are we going? I have no idea.
The weight room used to be the pavilion.
Where's that at? See, no, I did.
Well, you haven't seen that yet.
No, I didn't.
You'll see it. So the weight room, I know this is probably just for me and you right now, but just quickly, the weight room used to be the pavilion where you guys used to eat and have meetings. The cafeteria, which you're going to see, wasn't there. Gridiron Hall wasn't there. I think Gridiron Hall used to be the weight room.
The lockers, I knew I saw that.
The locker room is
I've been in the old, 7 years ago. That was.
You're probably running into walls that you're thinking used to be doors,
I'm excited. Yeah, because like RTL, after this we're doing a lot of shooting with RTL as well, and they said, there's hope coming. Look, what was your old locker? I was like, I would have no idea.
Well, it's not there anymore.
It's not there anymore. Like I can't tell you anything. This is like I'm new here too.
Exactly. Exactly. All right, so if we can, to close out here, let's talk about these Colts. Obviously, as you said, really disappointing start, 0-2, kind of stubbed their toe in the first 2 games of the season. When you look at the Colts in the big picture, Bjorn, what do you see? What needs to be corrected to kind of rewrite the course of this season starting on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of storylines. After week 1, I always have the TV person on me now, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, Anthony Richardson only started 6 games so far, so I feel like after week 1 we put a lot of hype. The NFL put a lot of hype on him too because he had some crazy throws, the big playability. But then I guess week 2 was the kind of awakening too, right? It's crazy for me as an outsider right now to look on it when I watch these games.
Right.
The run defense, especially when I know Buckner is now injured. That's a big loss for this weekend. But being last in the run defense, because if you can't stop, it never changes. Even in today's world, I just talked this morning in our podcast about it. The first 2 weeks were dominated by the run game.
Mm-hmm.
And we always say the NFL is evolving to a pass-happy league. No. The run game is still important because 100%. The Packers beat the Colts with Malik Willis and just running the ball.
Yeah,
and everybody knew.
Passes,
and everybody knew they're going to run the ball, and like the Colts weren't able to stop it. So I assume that Chicago, who didn't establish a run game yet, in the first 2 games, if they don't come out to at least try, I feel like that will be bad coaching on the Bears side, right? But hopefully on Sunday I'm going to sit there on German TV, and say, yes, the Colts can stop the run, and then you can you establish the run like last week with Jonathan Taylor, and then create the big plays, for Anthony Richardson, get Michael Pittman, and they can, we didn't do all that yet. Yeah. So I'm excited. I'm excited as a fan to kind of see this, how Coach Steichen kind of adjust to that, because we all know. I remember when I was here too, we had an 0-2 start with Andrew Luck.
2014.
And we ended up being in the AC Championship game, right?
Right.
The percentage of making the playoffs is like 11% right now.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are 0-3, it drops a lot.
Yeah.
So it's a must win. And I'm excited to feel his energy in the stadium.
I like that. Must win. I'm right there with you.
Yeah,
the 12th man going to be huge for the Colts on Sunday, and he's going to be right there, a part of it. His first game back at Lucas Oil Stadium.
We got a nice view, too. View.
I can tell you that. It's high, though. Bring the binoculars. It's high. It's going to be a different vantage point from you on the sidelines back in the day. That's Bjorn Werner. Again, he's on the call for RTL, the first game produced by a German television network in America on site at an NFL venue, Lucas Oil Stadium, Colts and Bears. Bjorn, thank you so much for your time, man. I know you got a crazy busy day, a busy schedule going into Sunday, and all the best, man. Continued success.
Thank you very much. Thank you for being here.
Man, Bjorn Werner, he looks good, doesn't he?
He does.
He looks good. He's still feeling it out. And again, he is so popular overseas. Like, that's something that I didn't realize last year when we were over there. I just didn't realize how big American football is in Germany. And we showed up for the game. We got there, at a normal time. I think the game started at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, German time. So we probably got there 4 hours before the game, start setting up. And Casey and Bill, I'm telling you, that place was full as soon. They opened the doors and people were there in their seats an hour and a half, 2 hours before the game. It felt like a big concert. People were just excited, to experience that first note from the big band, or in this case, to watch warm-ups. Those people are crazy. They're intense. And I tell you what, they know football. They were very knowledgeable about the rules and the swings and momentum. It was just a really good atmosphere and a really good, knowledgeable crowd.
Watching the game, it looked like they were having so much fun, not just at the beginning of the game, but the whole game. It
really
seemed like they were in it, they were engaged, and they loved the game. So it was neat seeing that on TV from here back in the States. And
they like to sing, too.
Yeah, so,
my gosh, they like to sing. And they know every word.
They know every word.
Of all the American pop bands.
But that's fun, though. That makes the game fun and enjoyable. So that was enjoyable for me to see that on TV.
Yeah, no, I told you this. I wanted to somehow fit into your luggage and go because I wanted to be a part of the whole pomp and circumstance. But no, it's definitely really cool, and it's cool to see Bjoern because he's one of those guys that we all remember what happened when he was drafted and how cool it was having, kind of a German guy here. We get a little bit of that with, Bernard from Austria, and, he's made a nice little staple here in Indianapolis, but it is cool to see Bjoern back for sure.
No doubt about it. All right, let's close out the podcast here. Let's talk about the Bears. Let's go X's and O's. Chicago 1-1. They're playing here in Indianapolis for the first time since 2016. They're coming off a primetime loss to the Houston Texans. They fell to Houston 19-13 on Sunday Night Football in week number 2. Matt Eberflus is back. He was the defensive coordinator for the Colts from 2018 to 2021, and Caleb Williams makes just his third start, second on the road. Again, they're very sluggish on offense, Casey. Just 355 yards total for them through the first 2 games, which ranks 4th for them in terms of fewest yards gained in the Super Bowl era on offense.
Yeah.
Second to last in total yards, rookie quarterback, just 1 offensive touchdown on the season. And Caleb Williams has yet to throw a touchdown pass so far through 2 games. So is this the week the Colts defense finally gets right? Because the Bears don't have a Joe Mixon. They don't have a Josh Jacobs. Not downplaying anybody they've got, but they don't have that elite back the Colts have seen through the first 2 games.
I think it's definitely the week the Colts kind of get back on track. You talk about their running back, DeAndre Swift. He's coming off a Pro Bowl season, but he hasn't really found his footing. And another thing that's a little shaky is that offensive line of Chicago. Now, take you back to 2023. I know Justin Fields kind of, altered the numbers a little bit with his scramble ability, but they were the best run offense in football last year. So it's been a little surprising to this point at how they can't figure out this run game. But I do think this is a week where the Colts kind of get back to getting right. You're back at home. You're going to have the juice of the crowd. And I just think, I said this to somebody yesterday. I don't remember who I was talking to, but I was like, I'm really glad you're facing Caleb Williams in game 3 compared to game 13. I take this kind of a little bit to what we saw in C.J. Stroud in week 2 last year when the Colts played Houston. There were still some bumps in the road. I think Caleb Williams has all the talent in the world. He's put it on display in college. You're just kind of waiting for it to all click, and I think there's still going to be some bumps in the road, so I think I'm really glad the Colts are getting him now while those bumps are still happening. You also have a little bit of the injury concerns in that receiver room because you look at it just on paper, and you've got DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, Keenan Allen, Cole Kmet, but they just haven't been able to get it all to mesh yet, and I still think that it maybe is going to be another week for them to really get that connection in.
But can the defense do it without DeForest Buckner?
I think they can. I really do. I know we've talked about the run defense not being that that good, but you know what? Chicago's struggling running the ball. DeAndre Swift, as Casey's mentioned, is a good running back, but he just has struggled to running the ball. And their leading rusher is Caleb Williams right now, because that's mainly from scrambling and trying to get away.
54 yards. Too.
Yes,
it's not like he's got
exactly.
It's
exactly.
minimal.
It's something like 50 yards or 59, something like that. So I think the Colts can stop him, and their offensive line has struggled also as far as the Chicago Bears. So I think our defensive line can get it right. And to me, like I said before, this is the game to get it right. I mean, you're at home, back at Lucas Oil Stadium. You want to turn this thing around. You don't want to go 0-3. It would be nice to come out of this game 1-2. And I think our defense can stop the run and put more pressure on them, and then try to make Caleb Williams do something that he hasn't done yet in the National Football League. Now, he's a good athlete. He runs around very well. He's mobile. But he still, as Casey said, he still has some struggles, and I'm glad we're getting him early instead of late.
Let's go 12th man on that, right? Coming up on Sunday. All right, the defense then for Chicago, they've held both of their opponents to under 20 yards so far in the season. In fact, they have held 8 straight opponents to 20 points or less dating back to last year. Since week 12 of last season, the Bears ranked tied for first in points allowed per game, just 16.1 points per. Can the Colts finally run the ball on the Bears, and most importantly, just sustain some time of possession here?
Yeah, I think running the football is going to be the biggest key for me offensively, because I think when you run the football, it changes things up, especially with what Anthony Richardson can do with his legs. I know last week it really wasn't in the game plan very much, but I think it's one of those things that establishing the run is going to be.
You surprised by that?
I was a little bit surprised, but then there also is that, you understand that you got 17 games. You want him to be healthy, so you're dialing back a handful of things. And I think ultimately, maybe they thought certain areas were going to.
His skill set's such a catch-22,
yes,
isn't it?
It is.
Yeah,
it
really
absolutely
is.
And so I really think that the run game is going to be on point this week, especially the home crowd. This offensive line has proven. I mean, they're one of the best run blocking teams to this point in the year. I assume they're going to keep that rolling.
Yeah.
And ultimately, the reason I think it's so key is the Bears' defense. It's highlighted by the secondary.
Yeah.
Montez Sweat is very, very talented up front, but they're big number guys, if you will, are in the back end with your Kevin Byards and Tyreek Stevenson and Jalen Johnson. I mean, these guys are studs on the back end. So the less you have to force the ball down the field aerially and make you use your running attack at your advantage, I think that is where it's going to be key.
Yeah, you run the ball, and then hopefully, as you said, Casey, you run the ball enough, they come up.
They cheat.
They cheat up, and then maybe you get that big explosive play that we saw in the first game. Maybe it's Alec over the top, or maybe it's A.D. Mitchell, Josh Downs, if he plays this week. So I think the Colts, if they can run the ball, and let's face it, we've all said that coming into this year that, having JT and Anthony Richardson back there, that's where our bread is buttered at.
Yep.
And so that's what we need to do is get the ball to those guys, get the ball in their hands so they can make some big plays, establish the run. The offensive line does a nice job of blocking, get JT going, maybe get AR a few runs there, and then bang, hit him over the top with a big play action pass, maybe on second or third down. And then, you know what? The game hopefully will be in our favor.
100%.
Yeah.
Question for both of you as we wrap up. How much better, we just got done saying it, that it's not all, the offensive struggles, it doesn't all go onto the quarterback's shoulders. But that being said, how much better does Anthony Richardson need to be in Game 3 in order for the Colts to get a win?
Yeah, he has to be better. I mean, let's face it. We kind of expected the ups and downs with this season as far as with Anthony Richardson, but he has to be better. In order for him to develop to the quarterback that everyone thinks he can be,
right,
he has to be better. He has to take care of the ball a little bit better. He has to maybe make throws that are a little bit more catchable for the guys to catch the ball at this time. So I think he has to be better. Now, I think he will get better. He's someone that takes a lot of pride in what he's doing out there in the football field. I think he wants to get better, of course, and he works hard at it. So I think he will get better. I'm not really worried about that, but he does definitely have to be better.
No, I agree. I don't mean this to come off negatively or at all. I think we've seen a different Anthony Richardson through a couple weeks for what he has kind of displayed to the media. I'm not saying it in a bad way. I feel like during camp, it's lighthearted a little bit. You're smiling. He's dialed in. So I think that is one of the things that right now I'm seeing kind of that maturity level already grow, and how angry and frustrated he was after last week and his performance. I kind of piggyback off what Bill said is, he's dedicated to his craft. He's a guy who wants to get better every single time he goes out there. I feel like we have seen a little bit more of that sense of urgency from him. So I'm just only anticipating it just continuing to go up. But absolutely, he needs to be better for sure.
Yeah, one last thing to close out, just in passing, take advantage of the Bears' shaky offensive line. They've given up 9 sacks so far. Caleb Williams has already been sacked a ton. I think his sack percentage is 12% in terms of all of his dropbacks. So get after this unit, and maybe this is the game the Colts pass rush gets back on track. 4 sacks, 10 quarterback hits in week 1. Unfortunately, no sacks in week 2.
Yeah, I want to say last week it was like 34 quarterback hits on 40-some-odd dropbacks. So, I mean,
that's a lot of hits.
37 pass attempts and 36 pressures.
There you go.
I mean, Houston, Texas.
So ultimately, get him thinking. You want him thinking more. The more he's thinking and he's questioning everything, he's a little bit more scared. That's the best you're going to get him, and that's what the Colts defensive line need to do. Make sure you're pressuring this guy. Make him go through his progressions even faster, and make him. I hate to be this way, but make him be a rookie.
And then also what happens a lot of times with those young quarterbacks is, when you pressure them a lot, you hit them a lot, instead of looking downfield, he's looking up at that line saying, where's the pressure coming from? Yeah, what do I need to avoid? And not looking downfield against the defense and seeing what type of coverage they're playing. So
I like it.
I think the guys get after him. I think we'll see some good things from the Colts.
That's the busiest man on game day. Bill Brooks, tell us what it's like to be you. The marathon of game day, because you are pre-game, you're watching the game, you're taking copious notes, post-game show on radio, instant reaction. So it's the post-game show with you and JJ Stankovitz on Colts.com. Man, you're a warrior.
It's a long day. It's a long day, but it's fun. It's enjoyable. You're talking about something you enjoy, something you love, but I don't do as much as you do during the week, because I know how you prepare for the week. So don't say anything about me on game day. I know you're prepped for the game.
Hey, we all have our demons, don't we?
Yeah, I know what you do, and I know what Casey does also during the week. I don't see these guys a lot of times, except for this show during the week, or sometimes when we're going down to the cafeteria to get something to eat and come back.
What they got today, Billy?
Exactly. So I know you are in it deep.
Beats working, though, right?
Oh, man. Yeah, this is not work.
Beats having a real gig. That's what I always say. We could be digging ditches and working jackhammers. Instead, we're talking about third down and red zone. Life's pretty good, right? Even a bad day, still a good day.
Right. That's right.
Check out Bill Brooks and JJ Stankovitz Sunday after the game on Colts.com with the Instant Reaction podcast. The Tuesday edition of the official Colts podcast is still out, as is Inside Football with Rick Venturi. So everything you need to know about the Colts and Bears, it's there for you here on the Colts Audio Network. For Bill Brooks, Casey Vallier, I'm Matt Taylor. Colts and Bears Sunday at 1 o'clock at Lucas Oil Stadium, and we'll talk to you next week, week 4, here on the official Colts podcast.